Welcome to Hometown Heroes. This is Rick Irving with my co-host Mary Staffeld, and we've got a real treat for you. We've got Don Doc Ballard, Vietnam veteran, a Navy veteran, an Army veteran, and a Medal of Honor recipient. Doc, welcome to Hometown Heroes.
Well, thank you, Rick. I certainly enjoyed the opportunity and to speak with Mary and share our stories.
And yesterday you did share your story. You were at Roll Call, the monthly veterans luncheon, and you told your story about how you what you did to receive the Medal of Honor, and it was very good. It was a very good talk you gave, and it was very funny. I mean, I like the way that you kind of highlighted the Marines a lot. You know,
Yeah, yeah. I think we all did, and I think you made a point out of that, right? I'm only doing this because they like it. So, because we all like to pick on the Marines, even though we know that they're really awesome people. But yeah, it
Well,
was
they
wonderful.
are, and I enjoy life, and most of us that served in combat have post-traumatic stress. They call it PTSD. Well, I have post-traumatic stress, but I call it PTSH. H meaning humor.
Yes.
and
I
you
don't
do bring humor.
I don't have the disorder. I look at life as a humorous person.
And I've been around you at a lot of the sky balls for the last 7 or 8 years, and I always see that you have a good time. I mean, you engage with people, and you make them feel at ease. It's not. I mean, what you see with Doc is what you get.
Oh, that's so true. I had 1971 with Dale Carnegie. He said they'll never remember what you said, but they'll always remember how you make them feel.
That's
Amen.
right. That's right.
Yeah, that's one of my first advisors in my life was how to be successful and dealing with personalities.
And did you, whenever you,
I was going to say my mother told me to behave myself as a young kid, and I've been behaving like myself ever since.
you've done a good job.
Thank you.
Ah,
And for those people that are listening today, we'll have a link to the talk that you gave at Roll Call that'll kind of describe your time in Vietnam and receiving the Medal of Honor. Because today we just want to kind of talk about you. You're a very busy person. You go around the country helping other nonprofits raise money. You really have a passion for our military and our veterans and their families. And then you yourself have a foundation. So we've got a lot of stuff to cover this morning. So you've been with the Air Power Foundation for many years.
I
Uh,
have. And
you
I love
served.
the organization because they don't have any expense. There's no fraud, waste, and abuse. It's 100% pass through. They raise money and then vet the other nonprofits, to make sure that they're actually spending the money that we give them. So we don't have a program. It's all, being there 100% for the veterans and
Absolutely.
duty families.
And you serve as an advisor to the board of directors for the foundation, don't you?
I do.
And I think you serve as an advisor or as a board member on a lot of other foundations around the country.
33 to be exact.
wow.
I don't
Most
know how you,
most of them want this ribbon. They don't necessarily like Don Ballard. I
I find that so hard to believe. Who could not love you?
they love my personality, but listen, I'm not good at asking for donations. That's my problem, and I hope we correct that with my video here in our podcast today, because I'm struggling with my nonprofit because I don't know how to raise money.
well, we hope that we can help you. That's Triumphant Spirit Foundation.org. And tell us a little bit about how that came about and what you do.
Many years ago, maybe 30, 40 years ago, the Triumphant Spirit was established in Denver, Colorado, and it was a organization to identify and remember and memorialize the Holocaust victims. And that came and went. It's like every other program that it burns out after a period of time. They never got it off the ground and never was supported all well. And so when I met the owner of the foundation, his name was Nick Del Calzo. And Nick Del Calzo needed help. Well, that's when I learned that I could do some things, but I really wasn't good at helping. And I was not in the Second World War, so I really couldn't help as much as I recruited other people to help him. That's how it all got started. And then so I joined forces with him. Him and Peter Collier designed that book, the Medal of Honor recipient book, tabletop, really nice desktop book. And society engaged him to take all the photographs of all the recipients. So that was the creation of the Medal of Honor book that we have, and I was selling yesterday, as for donations. So that's how the foundation got started. Well, it sat idle for several years. We started an offshoot of that foundation, and I'll call it a program, to travel the Medal of Honor exhibit, for educational purposes. And so we literally took the photographs of Medal of Honor recipients and we displayed them in different communities. I had them on different bases, forts, bases, camps, all the military installations. And it was a display of Medal of Honor recipients and their stories. And that was for, again, educational venues, and so Nick ended up getting dementia of some kind and just couldn't continue to do the work. So the organization kind of stopped. And we weren't 100% successful with it because of me. I'm not a good promoter. And Nick was not. He's the photographer, and I was supposed to be the promoter, and I didn't do it very well. So it ended up, instead of them paying me to dissolve the relationship and the contract that we had, he gave me the Triumphant Spirit Foundation to manage. So we had a board meeting, and everybody was voted on and off the board. They were voted off, and I brought my people in, and so I took control of the Triumphant Spirit Foundation as a shell. With the purpose of going in a different direction to help the veterans that I now want to help. So that's how the Triumphant Spirit, if you went online, the first thing it talks about is the Holocaust. And so you have to read in deeper into the history, and you'll find that there's more than one Triumphant Spirit. But that's not true. It's all the same. It's just changed and evolved over the years to what it is today. And today I use it to pay for the funerals and burial expenses of veterans that don't qualify for any kind of benefits. So that's how it's a program within the Triumphant Spirit Foundation. Two programs. One, we have the traveling exhibit. As soon as I get that all put together, I'm going to take it over and start promoting it in the various cities across the country. And its purpose would be, one, educating the public, two, developing the character development program that the Medal of Honor Society already owns, and we give that away free to the communities, the schools. So I want to promote that, to get it into the schools. And then thirdly, raise money for the other program, which is paying the funeral costs of veterans that don't qualify for benefits.
And whenever you go into the schools, what do you teach the children? What do you want them to walk away with?
Well, that's a tough one because you got to know your audience. Just like yesterday, you have to know what grade level and what age and what area of interest they have. So I speak at all levels, college and universities, as well as high schools and middle schools. And it's you got to know your audience. But the main thing is patriotism. I think any speaker, military speaker, talks about patriotism. Why freedom exists, how it exists, why it exists, who pays the price for our freedom. And, so that's the crux of it. But I'm also an honest storyteller. And I tell stuff that they won't hear from their teachers and sometimes from their parents. I answer questions honestly. I never get invited back twice, but I literally can say things that the teachers can't. I tell the truth.
And sometimes the children and the students, they don't get exposed to the truth. They don't get exposed as far as our history and what really happened in combat. So they just watch movies or play games, and that's where they get their view of history in combat a lot of times.
And I agree 1,000% with you, because that's not history, that's entertainment. There's somebody making money on all that, and they can't tell the truth because it will offend somebody. Blood and guts and pain and suffering and all the tragedies of war, no one wants to see. And I agree. I didn't want to see it either. I was thrown into the mix. I didn't volunteer. I joined the military in 1965 before there was any war that I was aware of anyway. I was a pre-med major in dentistry, and I just simply ran out of tuition money. I worked at the college, trying to earn my tuition, and my wife got pregnant. So she said, well, you're going to have to get a real job now. So that's what caused me to start looking for a different source of income. And my personal dentist was an Army reservist. And, he had a brag wall up there, him on a tank and him doing all this fun stuff. And so the next thing I know, I'm out there watching it, and he says, well, how are you doing in the dental business? And I said, well, I'm not in the business yet, of course, but I'm at schooling, And he says, well, go in the military. The military will help you finish getting your degree and help you become a dentist, and, at no cost. All you got to do is pay him back 2 years for every year of college. Well, that sounded like a plan. So that was what led me to join the military. I went to the Navy thinking that they had they did. They had the best dental facilities, and so that's how come I joined the military, was for tuition assistance.
Which is the reason a lot of people join. And then when you get there, then there are other things that you find that you value from that time too.
Well,
so
the military
it's really a neat thing.
The military has the attitude that the needs of the military are greater than the needs of the individual.
Yes, they are.
So I get that. And, when the stuff hits the fan, you got to do what you got to do, no matter what your rank, no matter what your job. You got to defend the camp. Well, they'll take the chaplain. He won't pick up a gun, but they'd ask him to, you know what I mean? And if he was smart, he would. But I probably ought to strike that last statement. Strike that last because
you would be amazed at the stuff that gets said on our podcast, Doc. It's no problem.
Well, they're people like the rest of us. They have a better, tighter connection with God, and maybe certainly more than I do. But Yeah, I get it. I try not to insult or defend. I try not to hurt anybody or insult them. You know.
Right.
Other than the Marines, and they just kind of take it, don't they?
They love me. The Marines love their corpsmen.
Yes, they do.
Yes, they do, and I take advantage of that, and I make them the blunt because they're the toughest guys. You know, they are the toughest fighting force that we have.
Yes.
You know, even their songs. You know, the Air Force is up and away, and the Army's caissons dragging down the street. You know, and the Navy's sailing across the waters. But the Marines said, "I'm going to kill your ass." You know, we're going to. We're going to defend this country no matter what. Sea, land, air, just give me a chance. I'm going to kill you.
My daddy was a Marine in World War II in the South Pacific. And I tell this often that I learned the Marine hymn before I learned Jesus Loves Me. So
that's pretty close.
And I don't know all the words to the Army's song, but I do know the Marines hymn.
Well, yes. Well, I served in the Navy, the Marines, and the Army, and the only birthday I remember is the Marine Corps.
Yeah, because they're the ones that make a big deal of it every single year, and it's all that is what makes the Marines stand out, is that they really they know their history. So you join the Marines, you're going to know your history. You're going to know all the important things and the important people. You're going to have a spirit that says this is our birthday and this is important. It doesn't matter if it's the 250th or the 45th. It didn't matter. Every single year they celebrate and they make a big deal out of it. You ask most Air Force people and they don't have a clue.
Well, that's I'm so glad you said that instead of me.
Yeah, I spent 22 years there, so
I know you did.
Yeah.
And I don't talk bad about anybody because it is, in my opinion, it's Americans against the evil, good against evil. And at the end of the day, we have fun with the camaraderie and the picking on each other. You know, it's we were taught to have thick skin, and if you didn't, well, you suffered.
Yeah.
So that's just, you know, here's your straw, suck it up. You know, that's That's what we're taught.
I'm going to use that one, Rick. You're going to hear me use that one at some point. I hadn't heard it before, but I'm using it. I'm stealing it. But, you know, I think that that's something I say a lot too, Doc. You know, we go to the luncheons every month and we pick on each other. We tease each other about the different branches. You know, I can't tell you how many times I've heard chair force and all the other things. And of course, I always remind them that we all have choices, and you can choose the branch that you sleep on the ground, or you can choose the branch that you're in the 5-star hotel. I don't know what to tell you. I just made a better choice. But we do that with each other. But if somebody tries to come at us from the outside, we are united, and you're not going to pick on us. We're not going to take it.
I love every branch. You know, I've benefited from every branch. You know, in Vietnam, we loved the Air Force because they came over and killed the enemy. You know, they dropped their ordnance, and you know, it was just an amazing sight to watch. You know, and there's plenty of times my life was saved by the Air Force, so I'm right there with them. And you know, we were in a part of the country in the mountainous area where we didn't have ambulances, so we depended on helicopters for movement as well as evacuation and resupply. So I love helicopter pilots, and you know, it brings reality home when you know, you look at who you really depend on and what your life means at the time. You know, I think we all went over there to fight for America, you know, and let's correct all the problems. But once I got on the ground and the bullets started flying and the injuries and the deaths, it became survival skills. You know, I forgot about the damn Democrats and the Republicans and the, you know, all the politicians. I don't trust any of them. And I showed that yesterday. But that judge will never invite me back.
But we will. Roll call will.
Yeah,
I think the judge has pretty thick skin.
Yeah, he does have pretty thick skin.
well, luckily some people do. Others I don't care about. But to finish my story, it's a love, it's a camaraderie, it's a family that we can't pick our brothers and sisters, but we learn to deal with their problems and their tolerance levels, and it all goes back to a baseline to where we're all taught that baseline. Get along with everybody. You're not there. There's no such thing as an I person in the military. It's all team. It's all team. You can't function without the others. Get over it. You're not that important. I don't care what kind of rank or medals you got. You're not that important. You got to have the team to support you and do what you need to have done to be effective. And a good leader understands that he's not important if he can't lead.
And the team's not just in the branch of service, but the branch of services all together make up the big team. One that comes together and just kicks butt.
I agree.
And yesterday, was a great day at roll call, and you have some books, the Medal of Honor book, and you had some belt buckles and challenge coins, and
yes,
those all go toward funding the Triumphant Spirit Foundation, correct?
100%. Rex, can you get me a copy of the book and the coin? And are you here, Rex?
Yes, sir.
I wanted to show the book and show the belt buckle and that kind of stuff. We don't sell them. Okay, it's asking for donations. We are a nonprofit, and nonprofits really are not in the business to sell anything. We ask for donations in a certain amount or more, and sometimes we get more because the guys are more generous. The people, are more thankful that we do things. He's going to open the book there. That's the same book that we talked about. Okay. And as I pointed out earlier in this conversation, I really suck at asking for donations. So I came up with the idea, as some other organizations do, is to give them something for their money. So it is beautiful, and it's got the regular hooks and belt loops and things on it, and then the Medal of Honor book itself is a tabletop version, has all our stories, and it's a very well done book, and that's the one that we started with. I was telling you about Nick Dalcalzo's book, and Peter Collier. Nick took all the photographs, and Peter did all the stories. So we got to express it. It's a personalized book because each recipient had some involvement with what was written and what he wanted in his photograph, for history, to be remembered, and to reflect back on.
And I've got some friends that have that book, and they have a lot of the Medal of Honor recipients autograph that are in that book. So,
well, that's the wonderful thing about that statement is that 99% of the population of this country never gets to meet a living recipient, and so I think by introducing the book and introducing the opportunity for them to come out of their shell, come to events where recipients are, it gives them a chance to meet other recipients. Life's about choices. I could sit around the house and, do what I do when I want to do and be okay with it. You have to be influenced to come out of that shell in order to better your life. And I've always given back and paid it forward and all that. But at the end of the day, I serve a lot of veterans on suicide prevention because I love the veterans and we've forgotten them, or we haven't done right by them. So my objective is to get them involved with conversation with other veterans, develop a sense of purpose. Because without a sense of purpose, why get up in the morning? Why not take the less resistant path of taking your life? I like to give people hope, and the best way is to give them a sense of purpose.
And speaking of sense of purpose, whenever you got out of the Navy, before you were presented with the Medal of Honor, correct?
Correct.
And after you got out, did you had a sense of purpose then about what you were going to do in life, but did you kind of miss not being with the Marines and being with a group like that?
Thank you. I sometimes have to struggle with that question myself. What the hell am I doing here? And how did I end up here? So yes, I wanted to. Let's start back with the idea that when I grew up, all the men in my family had served in the Second World War. And I was taught that you cannot live in this country for free. You had to pay back or pay it forward. You had to pay something to live in this country. Not monetarily, but you had to support the community. You had to do good for, the world, or at least our world, which was our communities and Americans. So that was my thinking from a very young age. So my original goal was, I think we all are influenced throughout our life, college, high school, elementary school. We're all taught different things. We find levels of interest, and we pursue them until we don't have any interest in it anymore, or it develops into something that's really easy and you're happy to continue with it. And my interest turned to be, wanted to be involved with a puppy dog here. My interest wanted to be involved with helping people in the medical field. I enjoyed the dental profession. I thought that was my original goal, was to be a dentist. I worked in a dental lab. I made dentures and crown and bridge, and I did everything that the back office and the laboratories would do for a dental office. So I thought, well, if they can do it, I can do it. So I wanted to finish my education and become a dentist myself. So that's back to the story of my dental friend. He's my dentist. It turned out to be a friend and my advisor. So that was a goal I set. And so I went, when I got out of the service, I'd learned that I didn't care about being a dentist anymore. Life changes. Life's about choices. So I worked orthopedic and neurosurgery when I was in the Navy. And trauma. I worked the ER and the OR, and that's a sense of adrenaline that you can't get anywhere. I don't care what kind of job you got, saving somebody's life, stopping the hemorrhage, controlling, life-saving techniques is just above a job. That's not a job. That's a passion. So I worked as a paramedic on the streets. And I want to stop right there and remind people that there was no paramedics, no EMTs, no ambulances that we know today, no helicopter life flights until Vietnam. After Vietnam, we brought all that home, all that training, and the streets that these people live on today are better protected and served by veterans that learned all this in Vietnam. So they should be thankful to the Vietnam veterans, especially the medical corps, that got the training, came home, and further developed the profession of emergency medicine. So I'm a little bit offbeat, but I want people to, that's part of my training, is for people to understand how we got where we're at. I mean, we take it for granted when you call 911 that our city's not going to defund them. You know, if you need help, we're smart enough and we have the resources to fund the police and the fire and the paramedics, you know.
Because back before we had EMTs and the ambulance services we have now, in Fort Worth, there were many funeral homes and they all had an ambulance, and you just called your favorite funeral home. And I don't think the people were really well trained. I mean, it was like, throw them in the back and get them to the hospital. And if they make it, they make it. I mean, they probably had some training, but a lot of times they didn't even have two people on an ambulance. So it was just more of a shuttle service.
We called it and referred to the scoop and run because I was in the system before I went in the military. And you're right, the funeral directors were the coroners. And so you pick a person up and let's see, you get to the end of the intersection, the hospital's to the left and the funeral home's to the right. How you feel back there, Charlie? And so I would think that there's probably room to consider that some funeral homes over the years unscrupulously change the outcome of a patient for financial gain. Really? Well, it's kind of like a doctor needing car payments today on doing surgeries they don't need to do. Really? Yeah.
Yeah. Hard to believe, but very true, right?
We all took an oath, but my banker changed some of that, you know. We have our own human desires, needs, and sometimes that goes before our oath of, you know. And I see again. I don't want to offend anybody or say that all people are in that category, but there are some, you know. Yeah. So when a funeral home is a coroner, he has the final authority to decide whether you're alive or dead. That's not a good equation, you know. It's just too much responsibility, too much moral responsibility. Anyway,
absolutely.
Thanks to Vietnam, and we had training and equipment and stuff that no other wars had, you know, and we had to design a better treatment facility, better treatment techniques. The advent of the helicopter, life flight, as we call it in the civilian world, that was a necessity because we had no ground ambulances. So now, what changed, the most important thing about that comment is ground ambulance say, hey, 911, come and get them. And they were there, you know, sirens, red lights, stuff like that. But in Vietnam, we didn't have that ability. And secondly is the birds only flew when they could fly, you know, bad weather, combat, enemy activities. They didn't come in, you know, if they got shot down. There's a lot of reasons why the medic and the corpsman had to change their techniques. The golden hour was designed that we know today. You know, let's get the patient back to the as close to normal as possible within that first hour, and his chances of survival is greater. So all this technique, and we're learning CPR, all this blood control, it's hemorrhage control, you know, airway management, everything we did in the emergency and then trauma-related capacities benefit the average person here in the streets of our American cities.
And they still do, you know, because we made great strides in Iraq and Afghanistan in prosthetics, you know, and a lot of other things in the medical field, burns and things that we might not have seen so much in Vietnam, but with the IEDs, we saw a lot of, you know, really destructive things to the human body.
I would second that. Also, let's take a look when you have the masses and you have on-the-job training, right? That's more important than book learning any day, you know. So I, as a surgical tech, I was able to put two arteries back together without leaking. Hello, you know, most doctors can't do that today. And my claim to fame on that is I had plenty of material to work with. I had plenty of opportunity. I had plenty of hours. I was getting paid by the month, not by the day or hour. So, and my desire was to learn the business, you know. So we did better than any other medic because we were allowed to. See, these doctors want to control their profession. I get it. But 4 Navy corpsmen started a physician assistant program, and later the nurse practitioner, all corpsmen, because we had independent duty corpsmen. The reason why we were independent was because we could prescribe drugs, we could do surgery. We were it. I was served on 2 different ships when there was no doctors. I served in Vietnam, no doctors. If I couldn't save the guy's life, he died. Whether it was a tracheostomy or guillotine amputation or arterial cut down, I was credited with saving 79 lives. And how? Because I would go in and clamp off the arteries, tie them off, and then I'd recover my hemostats or Achilles forceps, and because I needed it on the next patient. Battle dressings don't work. They slow down, and eventually, if you lose enough blood and soak it up enough, you'll stop the hemorrhage. Can't get it tight enough.
And that wasn't in a controlled environment like a surgical suite in the hospital. That was out in the dirt and the swamps and night and day and rain and.
Oh yeah, I've been criticized because of non-sterile techniques. What the hell do I care about? I don't care about infection. That's your job. I'm going to keep him alive so you can worry about taking care of him. That was my personality, and I don't care if I'm talking to a doctor or a judge. I'm going to tell them what I think.
And you're good at that.
Well, I've had a lot of experience.
And so you're a funeral director now. An undertaker.
I are. I'm completely retired medical. Spent 35 years in military medicine. I retired as a full bird colonel.
In the Army.
Well, yes.
Of course, the Army. Rick, you have got to point that out because you were an Army medic too. So.
Well, but if he'd been in the Air Force, you would have pointed it out, Mary.
That's true. I would. But my daughter is a beneficiary of all of that because I have a daughter who is a nurse practitioner.
Yeah.
And her doctor doesn't even he's not hardly ever in the office. She does everything she needs and he doesn't have to worry. And people love nurse practitioners because their bedside manner is just so good.
And why is that? Is because we didn't have to take the years and years of training to learn how to be professional. We had to learn how to do the job and not protect the profession. These doctors get together all the time on how to protect the profession, not so much about better treatment. So I was a part of AMA for a while. American Surgical Association. I went to the meetings not as a doctor, but as a corpsman or medical service corps officer in the Army. And so I didn't get involved in a lot of the discussions because it wasn't for me. But as an observer, you would sit there and see and listen and see how the conversation was going. And I understand how they have to protect their profession. It is what it is. You got to protect it. Keep most of the people out that don't belong in it. I get it. So, but the way the 4 corpsmen I served with one of them, got it through Congress was, we don't have doctors on the ships. If they want to protect it so much, put them on the ships. Bring them out there. Put them in combat. We need to keep the fighting force as far forward as possible. Not in the rear with the gear. So all that developed, and the Congress was influenced by other veterans that were saved, and could see the benefits of having the more professional closer to the battlefield,
And so let's talk about what you're doing now with the foundation as far as making funerals available to those veterans that family can't afford it.
Okay, let me go on record to say that most veterans qualify for burial benefits. Most. They have to have a DD 214 and they have to have a good conduct discharge, but most veterans qualify for burial. But less than 0.5% of veterans qualify for funeral benefits. Big difference. Burial, funeral, burial, funeral. So that's how I got involved. Was that our buddy started dying, and so we had to try to find a funeral home to take care of him. You call the VA and you call VA cemeteries and you call all these cemeteries. They cannot take a body. They have to go through a funeral home, a funeral director. They got to be casket. They got to have, today I became a funeral director out of that need, At the age of 60, I went back to college to become a mortician. And, I was the oldest guy that's ever been through the class. It's a 4-year course, 2 years academic and 2 years clinical. And so, I didn't get my license for almost 4 years. So, and I ended up buying the funeral home that I was trained in. So, but the whole issue is no cemetery is going to take a dead body that's not treated or in the proper container. Well, so what does that mean? Well, that means it's up to the families to take it to the funeral home. Or prearrange is a better way. Prearrange your destiny. For $10 a month, you can go in and pick your funeral, pick your music, pick your casket. Make peace with God and country and your family. Take the responsibility of wanting to do for yourself to help others. Take care of the problem. And so that's what I believe was an important decision for me to go from saving lives to taking care of the dead. That's 180 degrees out. But so I went back to school to help veterans in need. I didn't know how many there was. I had no knowledge like you or any other, but if you're not exposed to it, you don't know what you don't know, right? So I didn't know that even myself, because I wasn't thinking about death. You're not thinking about it. Neither one of you think about death. It's not something you want to think about. So I get it. But if you don't prior plan, then you're going to push the problem on to a family member that has to think about it. So
and there's a huge price difference. So I spent a whole 3 months working in the cemetery one time, and I couldn't handle it because it was a little too somber for me. But there was a big difference, is I'm sure you can share, in the cost of a pre-need and at need. And my father-in-law passed from Parkinson's about a year and a half ago, but he had arranged everything. So when the time came, we made the call, they picked up the body, everything was taken care of. And it was what he wanted. All of his wishes were taken care of. And it wasn't a strain on us as the family, because I've actually lost 4 family members since 2021. And all of them had taken care of this stuff beforehand. So there was just none of that strain and none of that added expense that you get when you have to do it at need versus pre-need.
You're so right, because you've had the experience of it. People that don't know,
Right.
And because they haven't been exposed to it. But that's 100% right. You have a bargaining tool when you walk into a funeral home and say, well, this is what I want. And they'll try to oversell, they upsell. I went to the school. Part of the school was to figure out how much money you were going to get from insurance, and how can I take it? I never bid in on that program because I take nothing now. I've done it for almost 20 years now, and I've never taken a dime. You know, what money I'm entitled to, I give to another veteran in need. You know, so we don't know what we don't know. Yes, and so if you went in with a bargaining tool that says I'm not going to pay that price, I want something cheaper. Well, if you're talking pre-need, you have a choice. If you're talking at need, you know, you have less choices, and chances are, well, first of all, you have no choice. Let me go back and restate that. You're at the mercy of somebody else. And that's why it's so important to get your wishes and your desires known up front and get them documented, because you say, well, I got it in my will. Well, I'm a funeral director that don't read the will, and I don't hear about it. You know, it goes to probate 2 weeks or a month, 2 months. Well, oh, he wanted this. Well, it's too late now. We did that, you know. So it's best to get everybody's on the same page, playing the same card game, you know. And again, the whole money situation is 100% different when you're talking pre-need, because they're getting money that they're not earning, and they're putting it in an escrow account for you that earns interest that they will get. So there's all kinds of benefits to pre-need for everybody.
Mm-hmm. Right. And Father Time is still undefeated. So we are all going to have to be find our final resting place at some point, right?
Last time I heard, there's no getting out of this worldwide.
Yeah, right.
We're all terminal.
And one part of you and your foundation is you've been working closely with Rex King and Donna Snow King, kind of going around the country, making people aware. And you are going to be the first Medal of Honor recipient to have a ham radio operator's license.
Yep, and it's exciting to think that if your motivation and your goal is to educate, and now they give you a bigger audience, a bigger ability to communicate faster, smarter, more thorough. You know, it's just I'm not there yet. I'm learning. I haven't gotten my license yet, but I see a lot of doors opening up for me to be able to educate people to whatever knowledge they want. But I don't want to take all this knowledge to my grave, you know. I want to share it. And they may not like what I say, but they can count on it.
And you've got a great teacher, because Rex King is a ham radio operator, and he has been, he might have invented the ham radio. I'm not sure, but I know his license number is probably number 1 or 2. So he's been doing it a long time, since he was a kid.
Well, I think he converted smoke signals to wireless communication, you know, back in the cowboy and Indian days. But he got his license, I think, in the 50s.
Yeah.
You know, when they still had tin cans on a wire, you know.
But that even helped him whenever he joined the military, because he already had the license, knew the Morse code.
Right, Morse code and all that. Yeah. I mean, it's a communication system that we've overlooked, and it's been downplayed because it's not really of a necessity with these cell phones today, you know. And it is harder to learn, harder to manipulate. You got to have physical equipment and towers, and you got to have assets that cost you money, and training and knowledge. And so it's an effort. And it's like any other effort in the world. You know, you got to expend it if you're going to benefit from it.
That's right. And Rex and Donna, they have such a passion for our military, our veterans, and first responders and their families. So Rex and Donna are both ambassadors for the Air Power Foundation.
Yes.
And I mean, they are engaged everywhere.
I try to let me say that again. I'm sorry. I try to surround myself with like-minded people that care about the community, care about giving back, that's less prone to try to take advantage of somebody or the dollar. They're not chasing the dollar. It's all about being good people, doing the right thing at the right time, and I benefit by being around them. It motivates me more than I might slide back and say, "Oh, I'm tired today. I don't feel like doing it." But here I get up and they make me get up and go do stuff that I wouldn't have normally done on my own. It's just like that. I called you, remember, and I said, "Well, what's this roll call deal all about? How am I going to fit in? What's my responsibility? Do I have to give a speech? Hello?" And then you put me at ease, and you said, "Just be yourself."
Yeah.
And I said, "Well, I can do that. I can do that." So
Yeah.
it's surround yourself with like-minded people that have the desire to give more than they receive, and it's a wonderful life. I live better quality life today because I surround myself with good people. And I advise anybody out there, quit doing what you're doing. Find somebody that you can share your life with, and be a friend. And by the way, a friend's a two-way street. You can't just take; you have to give. And my attitude is to give more than you expect back, and then you won't be disappointed.
Absolutely. And it's Mary and I just like to have people that we talk to on our podcast and just let them be themselves, just like you. I mean,
Yeah.
we just like to sit down and have a conversation so people can know Doc Ballard and who he is.
As I said earlier, I don't want to take my experiences to the grave with me. I talk a lot. I have a sign that says I talk for food. And so people invite me in and they give me food to talk, but it's a wonderful life if you know how to deal with it and take advantage of what's available to you. And we don't know what we don't know. I keep saying it because I don't know. It's something that you learn from experience and connections. I would never have known anything about your organization if you hadn't invited me, and then I got to see how wonderful it was. You had 650 people there that's a pretty good calling, and they were and I loved the idea that veterans communicated with veterans. It was all about them and their communication and their comfort levels, and it was an impressive event that I'm going to try to duplicate in my hometown.
Well, we can help you do that, Doc.
You got my questions.
Yeah, I can help you all day long. But one of the things that we find is that what you saw and what you experienced is what we always hope that they have. And when we can get a veteran there for the first time, then we hear them say, "Man, I've been, everyone's asked me to come to this thing and I haven't done it. And I finally came. And now I wish I'd been coming the whole time," because
Yeah.
there's so much healing in knowing that because I know when we talked beforehand, it was, yeah, they want to hear your story, because you sharing your story may make one of those other veterans in that group that hasn't shared their story. It might make them have an obvious, "Oh my gosh, I'm not alone" moment.
Yeah.
And he saw some of the same things I did, and look how he's able to talk about it. And once they talk about it, it's not that scary monster under the bed anymore. And so what we find is that they just feel so much healing. And, I look around that room and I see family members of veterans who have passed, who still come to the luncheon because they know that they're family, and they know that there is an experience that shared, like you said, that shared experience. And we bring that into that space, and it's safe, and you can talk, you don't have to talk, but we also get a great opportunity to share other resources. Like, when they hear about what you're doing, they might not need your help, but what happens is then 2 months from now, somebody calls me and says, "Hey, you remember that Medal of Honor guy that spoke at the lunch and he talked about X, Y, and Z? How do I know about that? Because I found somebody who needs that." Rick and I have people on the show like the Tuggies who do teeth for veterans. And one of the guys that's fairly new to our organization came in yesterday and veteran, and he was talking to me, and I said, "Hey, let me ask you a question. What do you think about dealing with your teeth?" And he said, "I really need to get that done." And I said, "Well, we know somebody who can help you." So we also get to share resources, what we all learn from each other, and we share those resources. So that's the magic of roll call. I tell people all the time, there is nothing else like it. There's a lot of groups doing a lot of great work for veterans, but they're doing this, they're doing this, they're doing this, they're doing this. We're bringing them together, and then we'll find out what their needs are, and then we'll point them to those groups doing this and this and this, and it just works. It's like magic.
I love it. And do you have any chiropractors on that come?
I think we might, but I'd never asked that question. But we have had some that have come who have said, "Hey, we work with this program and they can get their care from us for free." Those are ones that were not veterans. I can't think if any of them are actual veterans.
Yeah. Most of the veterans don't, there's not too many chiropractic veterans
Right.
or veterans became chiropractors is what I meant to say. But I belong, and I sit on one of my boards as a volunteer, is the Patriots Project out of Canton, Ohio. And it's started with one chiropractor. His name was Dr. Tim Novelli. And we've grown it now to 9,200 clinics across the country, providing free chiropractic care to veterans, active duty, and their families. And each chiropractor has agreed to take in as much as he can, at least one patient a month, one patient a week, one patient a day, free. And his motivation is to give back. Most of them are not military, so we have to educate them on the importance of taking care of the veterans. But more, it's all about education. Most of them have got a free 30-minute break in the day they could take a new patient. And if you take care of a veteran, well, maybe you'll get his family to come in, or his brother or brother-in-law, or somebody to come in that will pay,
Right.
So it's connection. It's all about who you know, not so much what you know. So
That's right.
That's it.
Yeah, and that networking is what I call it. You get to network. I'd like to introduce, and I will in my organization, but I'd like to introduce the chiropractors to your group.
Yeah.
Okay. It's Patriot Project. Is that
Patriots Project? Yeah, look them up online. Patriots Project. We just had a fundraiser. I just came from there. I flew in from Canton, and so it was November 1st. We had the Patriots Ball in Canton, and so we're proud of that. And normally I'd be wearing his shirt. I wore them all out. Now that I got to get them laundered, but I definitely support that kind of give back. And the other thing that I'm trying to do is take that chiropractic training, and the chiropractors that want to serve, I want to get them on active duty and make them a medical asset to the unit in combat as far forward as possible, so that they can stay active, they can stay mobile, they can stay without pain, off drugs. The whole thing about chiropractics today is changed from perception.
Right.
It's all about helping the body heal itself. It's all about giving motion back, allowing the body to function without pain and without drugs. So I was new to chiropractics, but I fell in love with it after, they treated me and eliminated my pain, and I didn't have to take all those drugs to feel like I was benefiting. And you don't benefit. All you do is mask the cause,
Right.
If you got a pain, there's a reason for it. Taking a drug to make you think you don't have the problem is not helping.
Amen.
Yeah. So that's what we want to do, is correct problems, not treat symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
Yeah, I have a great chiropractor, boy, that he can work miracles.
Well, I'm going to introduce you with the Patriots Project.
Yeah, we'd love to. I'm sure Rick and I'd love to get him on the show even and get the word out to that, because we hadn't heard of it. That's one we hadn't heard of before.
Well, I've been doing it for 15 years now.
Wow.
And like I said, we grew from 1 to over 9,000. I think it's 9,200 doctors, and really it's offices, so it might have 2 doctors in it,
Mm-hmm.
So it's really exceeded our expectations. We've grown so much that we need administrative help. We raise the money, but we don't have the back office, the admin part. And so if you know of anybody that helps nonprofits with organization structure and the accountability, it's not about the money. It's about coordinating with the other chiropractors, getting a system in place to where we can communicate, we can get feedback. It's the behind the scenes stuff. So I'm looking for that. Keep in mind that and we're not trying to advertise it. We got 9,000 is a pretty good number.
That's a real good number.
Yeah. So 9,000, we did over $30 million worth of billing last year. $30 million that we did not charge the veterans for.
Wow.
That's
amazing.
Yeah.
That's something, that's something we want to help you promote, because we didn't know about it, and all the veterans don't know about it, so we need to get the word out.
I'll arrange for the key doctor to get on what do you call this?
Podcast.
Yeah. Get on here and talk it out, because he's much more affluent than I am. He'll easily do it, because we try to promote it, and getting the word out. Maybe we can attract people that will help us administer it, and control it a little better, and promote it to more clinics and more towns. You can't have too many chiropractors, and you can't have too many chiropractors on our program. If they all just did one a month, you're taking care of the people that allowed you to be a chiropractor.
That's right.
Amen.
And that's our story.
That's good. Well, Doc, our time's about up for today, and we appreciate you so much. And you wear that medal, and it represents our country. It represents our veterans, our military, and what it means about the price of freedom. And you wear it good. I just tell you that I've been in and around you for about 8 years at Skyball and different places, and you are you just do good, Doc. And we love you.
Yes, we do.
To a point, I do good, but I really suck at asking for help with donations, because people, as I've said many times, there's not any future in helping a dead person, but it's his final duty station. He's earned the right to have a dignified funeral. He's earned that respect that we can give him for the same, if everybody paid, bought one of our items or donated, and we want to grow it. We're in 14 states right now in trying to help at need, pre-need education and veteran support. So we're combining it. I wish we're all fragmented, as you said a while ago. I wish we could collectively do more in one effort, one group, one place that somebody could come if they need chiropractic, they need dental, they need, that's what my goal would be, is to be able to put all these people that are willing to help together and then grow it across the country and take care of our people, because we got spare time. All of us have got the ability to do a little bit more.
Absolutely.
So what I'm hoping to do is, with your help, spread the word, encourage people to support, get involved, feel good about yourself. It's all about feeling good that you contributed, and for a small exchange of crappy money that we got today, or maybe the credit card that you won't miss anyway, use the credit card, give something and pay and help, somebody else in need,
Right.
And that's what makes me feel good. Maybe it's the Santa Claus attitude or something, but it makes me feel good when I'm able to help people that, and when they're dead, they can't ask for it. So I'm the spokesman for them, and my job is to make sure they get a dignified funeral and burial. And like I said, I need help because I'm bleeding right now financially because we're all dying sooner, quicker, and more often. You only die once. Let me read that. But more often, we're getting more patients and more people dying because we're all getting older. So the need is increasing yearly on raising money to pay for these expenses. The casket company is not going to give us a discount. We got about 13 things as a practitioner, licensed funeral director, practitioner, I have to do to protect the public. And let me comment about that. Most people don't understand the funeral industry. It's not there for the dead person. It's there to protect the family and the community. We have to properly take care of the body to control contamination. The drinking water and everything else. It's regulated, and we evolved out of the need to protect the living, and so it gets off into more money is seen by more profit made over here than over there, and so the industry's evolved to where it costs more to die than it does to get born. But on the same token, it doesn't have to. There's funeral directors like me. My $10,000 funeral I sell for $19.95, $2,000, and I don't have a problem taking care of them, but I don't make enough profit that I can do much with that. I give up the profit to take care of the veterans. Consequently, when I have a veteran that can't pay, or he's under the bridge and he doesn't qualify for any help, then a lot of times I got to come out of my own retirement money, my own military retirement or Medal of Honor retirement money, to pay that. And I'm willing to do that because that's a blessing that I feel as necessary. So I'm asking for help. Anybody can help donate some money to me. I'm reachable. You can contact me, and I'll certainly visit with any of your people, and try to impart some wisdom that I have learned over the years.
And they can go to Triumphant Spirit Foundation.org. It's written right here at the bottom of the screen, so you can find out more about it. And Doc has the medal and will travel, right?
Yeah, I like that. Now, I want to make sure that the Triumphant Spirit, they got to go to the second or third one down because, as I explained earlier, there's only one Triumphant Spirit, but it's got 4 or 5 different purposes in life. And I'm the one in Green Valley, Missouri. I've moved the foundation to Missouri from Denver, even though it's still a Denver corporation. The administration office has moved to Missouri. So I didn't want them to send the money to a different guy.
Right. So just go to that website and then filter through there and find the organization that Doc's working with. So, and if they have other questions, they can reach you through that website too, correct?
That's right, and I'm going to make that easier. I'm going to get online with the radio, the ham radio, and they can talk personally with me. And again, I'm doing that because I want to educate as many people that will listen.
Yeah, and Rex has explained to me that there's so many different groups on ham radio operators. You know, there's groups with the first Cav, and there's groups that served in this place in Vietnam or this place in Afghanistan. And so it gives you a great platform around the whole world to help people.
Yes, that's what I've understood as well, and that's my motivation. And you know, you've been around me enough to know I like talking.
Absolutely. And I just saw that Donna just passed by. Hey, Donna.
Hello.
That's the better half of the Snow King Ranch there.
Yes.
Well, I'm outside running a crew. So, but it's good to see everybody.
Good to see you, and thank you for all you do, Donna.
It's my pleasure, sir. My pleasure.
Yep.
So the hope too here is that if you're out there and you're listening and you have some talents that Doc could use, maybe, you know, website design and fundraising and administrative kind of operations for an organization. Again, maybe what you have to contribute is talent. And so if you don't have money, but you have time and you have talent, then I would recommend that you reach out as well, because you just don't know how you can help. You know, we were fortunate to find a volunteer, because Roll Call has no paid staff. We found a volunteer that does a lot of website design, and she completely revamped our website. It looks so much better. It works so much better. And getting people in that can really help you know how the system works, so that they come to you and they don't get the wrong place. And there's so much involved, but there are people out there that are talented and have the time and the talent, but may not have money to contribute, but maybe they can help you. So if you're one of those people listening, reach out to Doc too, or reach Rick or I, and we'll get you to Doc.
I love you guys.
We love you too.
Well, surround ourselves with good quality people and we'll enjoy life to the fullest.
I think you're muted, Rick. Thank you so much for coming to Roll Call yesterday. I know that.
I was nervous, but you know me, I'm bashful and shy.
Yeah.
I didn't know until I was told to just be yourself. I thought, what the hell? I didn't have time to prepare for anything. What do they want to hear? You know, so I think all of us have the fear of the unknown. It's that the ability to get past that makes the quality of life for what it is. You know, you can sit at home and be afraid, or you can come out and have fun.
Yep, you're right. I'll send Rex the link to the video we made at Roll Call, so you can watch that. So
I'd love to hear
and see how well you did.
I want to critique myself, because you know, that's how you improve, right?
That's right.
And I thought you did fabulous. I don't think any improvements needed.
Well, I'll also send the link to the podcast that you and General Brady did the day of the Sky Ball. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was a good one. I enjoy working with Skyball and Snowball also. You know, there's just so much we can get involved in. There's so many ways we can help. Get off the couch and help yourself. You know, by being a better person. You know, I feel so much better when I'm helping others. You know, it's not about the money, and as you said, you don't have to contribute money. You can contribute time and talent and knowledge that I don't have, or maybe another person doesn't have. You know, we can't possibly know everything, so we need help.
That's right. Well, thank you so much, Doc, for being our guest today, and look forward to seeing you again soon. And just go to this website and find out how you can become involved as a donor or with your talent, and learn more about all the great work that Doc is doing. And we just really appreciate Rex and Donna for getting you to roll call and getting you hooked up with us. And we just thank them so much.
One last comment. Rex, what's
Okay.
my call sign?
It will be Whiskey Zero, Medal of Honor.
My call sign that I want to put out and motivate today is Whiskey Zero MOH.
And that whiskey is just a W, right? Or is it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. W as in whiskey. I chose that for a reason, but actually it's not. That's part of the country. I didn't have it.
I hadn't ever noticed that, Doc.
Whiskey Zero MOH. You'll be able to reach Doc Don Ballard.
Okay.
Very cool.
Very cool. We will see you again soon, Doc.
Don't threaten me.
Okay. I love you. Thank you for your service to our country.
I love you guys. Thanks for all you do.
You're welcome. We'll see you soon.
Take care.
Bye-bye. Wow.
He's a special guy.
Very special. And he does so much work. He's helped millions of people around the country, around the world. And he uses the medal. He uses that to help motivate and help comfort our veterans, the family members that have lost their loved ones. He's just an all-around great American hero.
Yeah. I think Don Graves said it best yesterday when he said he wears that medal for everyone. And he said he's one of the few Medal of Honor recipients that he has seen really like even take it off and put it in somebody's hands and say, I'm sharing this because this is not mine. It's for all of us. And
Yeah.
I think that he really takes that very seriously.
Yeah, and Bob Patterson's like that too. I've seen him, take that medal off and let a kid hold it, or let other people see it. So,
Yeah.
And we're so fortunate, that we're here in the Metroplex where the Medal of Honor the National Medal of Honor Museum is, and we have gotten to see many of the living Medal of Honor recipients. I think there's only 61 living Medal of Honor recipients.
Mm-hmm.
And Doc said that he'd, since in the 55 years that he had received the medal, that he had been associated with over 400 of the living Medal of Honor recipients. Well, a lot of those were World War II, Korea, and Vietnam. And, so many of them have passed on.
Right.
So, well, you did a great job, you and your team, at roll call yesterday.
Oh, thanks. It was so fun.
It was a good time at roll call. And, especially have Doc there. He just did a great job and was so, he said he does a lot of humor, and he did a lot of humor.
Right, good. And that always is something they really enjoy.
It is.
Yeah. So the next lunch is coming up, though, only 3 weeks away. So because of holidays, obviously the church will have a lot of stuff going on. So Monday, the 24th is when the RSVP line is going to open at roll-call.org. And the luncheon is December 5th. So we will, we move that up. And then, of course, we go back to the fourth Friday starting in January. So that's a long break. And so in between, we try to, just at their own expense, we try to pick out a place and tell folks, if you want to come out just to get together, then toward the end of December, early January, we just do a get together. Everybody just get out of the house and get together. So usually we get a pretty good crowd for that too, but the luncheon, the last one of the year, December 5th, RSVP opens the 24th of November at 9 a.m.
And what on our program, what are we going to do that day?
We're going to have David Huntley that day. We
Okay.
had to move because we moved David from November to December so that we could accommodate Doc. And so then we were going to have Errol, who we've had on the show, on the podcast. We were going to have him doing a reenactment, but he's moved now to March. So
Which is very good because that's
yes,
a Texas History Month that he's real involved in. So
that's priceless. Well, that was the month that he said would work best for him. And so that's what we did. And that was all because we really, when you have the opportunity to bring a Medal of Honor recipient to your program, and everybody knows we don't pay speakers, but we do allow the speakers to sell their books or whatever the case might be. And Doc had a huge line, like that line went on past 2:00. And so books and buckles and coins, they did real well with those, and people really enjoyed being able to get them. But, so since we don't, we do tell folks that if they have a book, they're more than welcome to sell it at the luncheon.
And Dave Huntley, he's a survivor of the London Blitz. He's got some great stories about being a child during World War II, whenever they were bombing London. And then he's written a lot of books. I don't know how many, but
Tomahawk Warrior is the one that he's going to be talking about on in December. And I'm not quite done with it yet. He started to tell me a little spoil. Hey, did you read this story? He was to tell me. And I said, don't tell me yet. I ain't got to that part. But the book is really good. And it tells the story of American plane that actually went down outside of the town that he moved to get away from all of the bombings and everything, and how this plane, had they tried to save themselves, basically, that plane would have come down on that village, and he may not be here today, but that plane, they all lost their lives. But then he did some other neat things with reconnecting items that they picked up on site with families back here in this country. So it's a really neat story, and I think it's going to be a real good one for everybody.
He's a great guy. And roll call, you need to go to roll-call.org. If you aren't a member of Roll Call, just go in there and sign up. It costs you nothing. They won't inundate you with emails or text messages, but they will send a monthly newsletter. When that newsletter comes out, that will also have the link to the reservation where you can go in and make your reservation, because Roll Call is the hottest ticket in town for veterans. And the reservations usually go the first day, if not early the second day. So,
right.
And it's a tremendous organization. I know Mary and I both came in the organization about 2017, and it certainly changed our life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Met so many great Americans, just like with Doc. I mean, if it hadn't been for Roll Call, we would have, all the connections that we have. So,
right. Amen, brother.
But we thank everybody for sharing with us on this episode of Hometown Heroes, and we'll see you next week